least they're consistent.
And you thought that you'd be safe in your tower, insulated from the people below.
Oh, there's an earthquake, though.
The truth has undermined your foundation.
It's called the truth.
By so many people now in the know. You thought that you'd see the day that you could just get away from the ones you betrayed, who raised their voices to say you won't be trusted anymore.
Alrighty then. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're situated on this great, big, beautiful blue globe floating through the void of Yah's creation. It's Tuesday, the 27th of January, 2026. Oh, man. It's almost fun. I have to look at it that way. You know, I really do. Anyway, before I go down that path, first of all, welcome to the WTF Reports. I'm Dave vonKleist here with the audio receipts, with the facts, WTF. And if those facts make you exclaim WTF, well then so be it. What's it going to take to get this country to get, to wake up? I don't know. Yours truly's been screaming about this thing for over 3 decades. And it's still messed up. There was a period of time when I just said, the heck with this. I'm just throwing in the towel. I can't deal with this stuff anymore. But then I got smacked upside the head with some biblical truth and some responsibility. And I said, okay, I hear you. I'm going to get back in the saddle again and start blowing the trumpet as I was instructed to do decades ago. So anyway, but like I said, the hits just keep on coming day after day. It's like watching a huge, enormous, gargantuan train wreck in super slow motion, frame by frame. And it's like a soap opera that just never ends. So anyway, all right, where do I start? Yeah, first of all, I had to take the day off yesterday. I had a very, very full weekend, and it just sort of caught up to me, and I just couldn't go anymore. I just don't have the stamina that I had 30 years ago. So anyway, I just said that's it. I'm going to take the day off. I'm not going to worry about any of this stuff right now. I'm just going to rest up and get ready for the rest of the week. So I took the day off yesterday. I'm fine. I'm just fine. No worries. All right. So I'm not quite sure where to start today. I've got a whole bunch of different things here. I want to revisit something that Robert F. Kennedy said. I guess this is almost a year ago. He was at dinner, and this has to do with the hokey pokey thingy dingy with the COVID, and I think it bears repeating. And anyway, this is something that happened at dinner, and somebody had a video camera on, and here's what he said. And I'm going to focus in. It's about a minute and a half, something like that, but it's the second half that's very telling, and then I'm going to refer to a document here that might explain a few things. Anyway, this is Robert Kennedy Jr. in a discussion about the development of COVID. Yeah, here it is.
I know a lot now about bioweapons because I've been doing a book on it for the past 2.5 years, and
yeah, I know the recording quality is a bit, it's a bit tough, but it was in a big room, and it gets a little clearer in just a couple seconds. Here it is.
Hundreds of millions of dollars into ethnically targeted microbes. The Chinese have done the same thing. In fact, COVID-19, there's an argument that it is ethnically targeted.
Okay, right there. He says there's a rumor going around that COVID-19 is ethnically targeted. Very important. Listen up.
COVID-19 attacks certain races disproportionately. The races that are most immune to COVID-19 are because of the structure of the genetic structure, genetic differentials among different races of the receptors of the ACE2 receptor.
Here it is.
COVID-19 is targeted to attack Caucasians and black people.
Okay, I'm pausing it right there. Did you hear it? He said COVID-19 was designed and targeted to affect white people, Caucasians specifically, and black people. That's what he said. Listen more.
The people who are most immune are Ashkenazi Jews and Chinese.
Okay, the people who are most immune are Ashkenazi. What'd you say, Dave? Ashkenazi Jews. Okay, so they weren't affected as much, or nor were the Chinese.
But we don't know whether it was deliberately targeted that or not, but there are papers out there that show the racial and ethnic differential impact to that. We do know that the Chinese are spending hundreds of millions of dollars developing ethnic bioweapons, and we are developing ethnic bioweapons. That's what all those labs in the Ukraine are about. They're collecting Russian DNA, they're collecting Chinese DNA, so that we can target people.
Okay, so what we're hearing here is that these bioweapons that are all over Ukraine, and I have no doubt around the rest of the world as well, they are basically working on designing bioweapons that ethnically target different groups. Now, why is this important? Well, the reason it's important, because yours truly was screaming about this almost 30 years ago. I'm holding in my hand a document, and I've covered this in the past. It's been, maybe 6 or 8 months since I've discussed this, but it bears revisiting. This is a document. It's called A Revolution in Military Affairs and Conflict Short of War. You can look this up. Those of you who doubt me, again, I'm here with the receipts, with the documents, WTF. And this document came from the U.S. Army War College, and it was written by Stephen Metz and James Kievit. And it was released on July 25th of 1994. Yeah, almost 32 years ago. So why is this a significant document? And what does this have to do with what I just shared with you about what Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was saying about ethnically targeting different groups with bioweapons? Well, here we go. On page 9 of this document from the U.S. Army War College, I read, certain biotechnical weapons considered by some to violate the Biological Warfare Convention, to which the United States is a signatory, also may transgress American values regarding appropriate means. Most Americans would not support the use of a weapon designed to target only a specific racial or ethnic group in anything less than a war for survival of the nation. Could the government and military of this multi-ethnic republic face charges that it was developing or using a weapon targeting Africans, Jews, Koreans, Hispanics, etc.? Would defense against such a charge occupy the attention of policymakers to the detriment of other essential businesses? And even accidental injuries or deaths caused by non-lethal anti-material substances could be politically damaging. So, in other words, folks, they've been doing this or working on this for decades. And again, this document comes from July of 1994. Now, again, we've all heard that the U.S. government has technology that is probably anywhere between 50 to 100 years beyond what we have available to the public. And this is why I think that Trump has been out there saying that, we have weapons that most people can't even imagine. And you put that together with the details about when Maduro was, shall we say, extricated or basically taken out of Venezuela. The reports from the Venezuelan troops that were there said that they could not, these were like super soldiers. They hit us with weapons we've never seen before. People started vomiting and, throwing up blood and all kinds of terrible stuff. They had no idea what they were hit with. And the word has been getting around all over South and Central America as well. That, good Lord, these Americans have some really very powerful weapons, and I've never seen anything like this before. I don't ever want to go through that again. So word is rippling around, the Western Hemisphere. But the United States has some very, very sophisticated and unimaginable weaponry at their disposal. So I wanted to share that with you because this is not the first time yours truly has been screaming about this. Like I said, we way back when in the early 2000s, and you can go and find this document. As a matter of fact, if you have access to the Wayback Machine, of course you do, if you've got a computer, go to the Wayback Machine and type in the website GulfWarVets.com. GulfWarVets.com. And then you can go and, like 2003, 2004, 2005, et cetera, because that website's no longer up, but the Wayback Machine still got it. So if you go back there and look at GulfWarVets.com and click on the Documents button, you'll find not only this document in its entirety, but a whole lot of other documents that the powers that be don't want you looking at. So I wanted to share that with you because, yes, this battle is ongoing. It hasn't gone away. Just because you're not hearing about it in the news, and just because the talking heads on radio and television aren't discussing it, that doesn't mean it came to a screeching halt. This has been going on for decades and decades, and as RFK Jr. was talking about, that's what these biolabs are working on all along the Ukraine border. No wonder Putin is pissed. No wonder. I mean, he doesn't want, if this is the case, and they've been collecting DNA from all over the world, and by the way, if you've signed up for Ancestry.com or any of those things,
I want to find out about my genealogy. I want to find out where I come from, where my family is. I'm going to send in a copy of my DNA.
You fools! Oh my gosh. Anyway, I just wanted to, share with you that particular piece of information because just because it's old news doesn't mean it's insignificant news. Okay, let's see. Oh, by the way, today, in case you didn't know, today is International Holocaust Remembrance Day. Yeah, where we have to remember what happened 80 years ago in Auschwitz and et cetera, and Dachau and all that stuff. We have to have that completely pounded back into our head, reinforcing, the history that was taught by those who hanged the heroes. Now, I'm not going to be a Holocaust denier, but I do ask questions. As a matter of fact, here's a good question for you. Of course, we always hear that it was 6 million Jews that were, murdered in the Holocaust. Now, I did some research. Now, I suggest you do some too. Okay, I asked the computer what years were the Holocaust. And basically it says from 1941 to 1944. So you got 4 years of the Holocaust. Now, if you take that 6 million that were supposedly, murdered and incinerated, in the, what do you call it when you, senior moment, cremation, there we go, cremation. Now, if you had to cremate 6 million bodies in 4 years, well, let's do the math. Okay, 6 million over 4 years, let's cut that in half. That would be 3 million in 2 years, and cut that in half, that would be 1.5 million in 1 year. All right, we'll cut that in half, so that would be 750,000 in 6 months. All right, you see where we're going with this? What it comes down to, I don't remember exactly what the numbers were, but you're talking over 9,000 cremations a day would have to be done to dispose of all of those 6 million people. So, if you go to a crematorium, ask the people, how long does it take to cremate a body? They'll tell you between, 2 and 3 hours, something like that. But I mean, you certainly couldn't cremate over 9,000 bodies every day. It would be impossible. So that raises some questions. I don't have the answers, but do your own math and then scratch your head and say, wait a second, does this make sense? How could it make sense? I don't know. But you're not even supposed to ask questions anymore. No, you're not allowed to ask questions. And let me see, I got a couple different directions I wanted to take here. Let me see. Oh, yeah. The issue of censorship. Now that TicToc has been taken over, Eric Warsaw reported the following, and it has to do with the new guy in charge. His name is Adam Presser. And Eric Warsaw, and again, I'm sure Eric is on a list. Anybody who's questioning the powers that be, you get on a list. But anyway, here's what Eric Warsaw posted in regard to Larry Ellison and what's his name? Presser. Here it is.
Everyone is abandoning TikTok and going to Upscrolled, which is the #2 most downloaded social media app on Apple's App Store.
Okay, I'm pausing it right there. Yeah, Upscrolled. Write it down. Upscrolled. As soon as I heard about this over the weekend, and yeah, I'm going to sign up. I'm going to join that particular platform. See what happens. Anyway, keep going, Eric.
The new TikTok ownership is hyper censorship.
Over the course of 2024, we tripled the amount of accounts that we were banning for hateful activity.
Okay, that's Adam Presser. Okay, and he's the new guy that's going to be calling the shots for TikTok.
We also have, I think, over 24 Jewish organizations that are constantly feeding us intelligence and information when they spot violative trends. There is no finish line. There's no finish line to moderating hate speech. There's no such thing as an end game.
And major social media stars are already on Upscrolled, including Guy Christensen, Mo, and me too. Upscrolled is actually a Palestinian-owned app. It's just like TikTok, but with free speech. Download it too. And don't let Zios control everything.
Okay. So Upscrolled is where everybody seems to be going because there's less censorship there. Okay. Let me see. What else? Let me see. What else is it here? Adam Presser. Okay, there was another thing I had here with Adam Presser, and this was, see who posted this. This was posted by System Update. Oh, yeah, Glenn Greenwald. Glenn Greenwald had the following to say. Here it is. And it's loading. And I got the spinny wheel again. Oh, man, I don't know what's going on.
And if you don't think this is embedded in TikTok, I want to show you the current CEO of TikTok. His name is Adam Presser. And he spoke with the World Jewish Congress last year, of course he did, about the efforts of social media to regain control of the discourse surrounding Israel. And he boasted of the steps TikTok was taking to censor Israel critics. And if you think that's an exaggeration, I want you to listen in your own words to Adam Presser, who's now the CEO of TikTok, even above Erica Mindell, the IDF soldier that the ADL installed there. And listen to what he boasts about. Listen to how he understands free speech on TikTok.
Change to designate the use of the term Zionist as a proxy for a protected attribute as hate speech. So if somebody were to use Zionist, of course you can use it in the sense of you're a proud Zionist. But if you're using it in the context of degrading somebody, calling somebody a Zionist as a dirty name, then that gets designated as hate speech to be moderated against.
Okay, let's pause for a second. Let's promote Zionism for a moment. Okay. Now, people have conflicts because of their religious beliefs or their political beliefs, et cetera, et cetera. So, why don't we just separate everybody? Okay? If you're a Baptist or if you're, a Protestant or if you're a Christian, just separate yourselves. Let's create Zionist states here in the United States. This would solve all the conflict, wouldn't it? You take one state, I don't care, Nebraska, Colorado, whatever, grab a state and say, okay, from now on, this is going to be the Zionist Catholic state of fill in the blank, Colorado, let's say. So if you're Catholic, you move to Colorado, and if you're not Catholic, you leave Colorado. And not only do you leave, but you have to leave everything you own behind. And if the Catholics come in and you won't leave, then they get to basically force you to leave in any way, means necessary. Okay, so Colorado becomes a Catholic state. And then we're going to take Alabama, for example, make that a Protestant state. And then we're going to take Texas and make that a Baptist state. And that's what Zionism is. Okay, when you create a particular state for a particular ethnic group, that's what Zionism is. And hey, in a perfect world, which we don't live in, if we were to separate all the different states, I mean, my gosh, how many different ethnic groups are there? I mean, if we got 50 states, I'm sure we could figure out what to do with each and every state. And then there would be peace on earth. Yeah, we wouldn't have any more conflicts anymore. So I suppose that's one way to promote Zionism. Maybe it's not such a bad thing. I don't know. But anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there because that's basically what they're saying is that, if you speak in a negative way about certain things, well, I'm going to speak in a positive way about these things. As a matter of fact, there was a young man who was in Florida, and he went to a city hall meeting, and he basically, he was, he had makeup on, and multicolored shirt and all that. I mean, he sure looked gay, and he admitted that he was gay. But anyway, this is the presentation that he gave to the city council. And he was basically saying that, we have to stop all this hatred towards all these different ethnic groups. And anyway, here he is.
Speaking? Right now?
Are you Tammy Cohen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Tim.
Just introduce yourself.
Okay. Again, he's got a multicolored shirt on. He's wearing a yarmulke, and he's got makeup on, and he has a full beard.
Okay, sorry. My name is Timmy Cohen.
Hi, Timmy.
My address is 209 Clemens Court, Orlando, Florida. I'm sorry, I'm very nervous. Give me 1 second here. I have to go to my notes. My name is Timmy Cohen. I'm an LGBTQ civil rights activist, along with Black Lives Matter activists. I'm a third-generation Holocaust survivor. My great-grandmother was Irene Zisblatt. She wrote a New York Times bestseller called Diamonds in the Fecal Matter. Oh. Anti-Semitism is an all-time high with wild Jewish conspiracy theories about the Jewish people. And there is an anti-Semitic website that is being spread around all over the state of Florida, as you guys know. This is some of the conspiracy theories that they're accusing the Jewish people of, which is COVID.
Okay, he's holding up sheets of paper that he printed out from the website that he was referring to.
Jews controlling all of the media, 6 Jewish corporations owning all the media, okay? 80% of Joe Biden's cabinet being Jewish, okay? And these flyers are very hard to see because when you are on the news, when you look at them on the news agencies actually blur these out, so they can't. So I was looking into this stuff, and I just went to the website and downloaded these. So white supremacists are blaming Jews for mass migration. They're saying there's 30 Jewish NGO groups. They're blaming Jews for slavery. They're blaming Jews for gun control. They're blaming Jews for Trump, all of his donors being Jewish. Okay. They're also blaming Jews for pornography and hookup culture. Okay, all of this. So these conspiracy theories are just running wild. I mean, LGBTQ movement, we're getting blamed for every freaking thing in the world here. Abortion, Disney, child grooming. So although all of the executives are Jewish at Disney, and it's stated here.
Again, it's all conspiracy theory.
I think that I can come up with a solution, and instead of demonizing people, for this hatred, I think that the solution is, me being a Jewish person, that we should just come clean and just talk about, the involvement, all of the names here. The news is calling it hateful. They're calling it bigoted. They're calling it anti-Semitic. But all of these names are factual. So we can either make anti-Semitism punishable by death like we did in the USSR, okay? Or we could take away free speech, or we can just talk about the facts, okay?
Just tell the truth.
I'm Jewish. Our people are controlling all of America, okay? So I want to stop anti-Semitism by being honest, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Yeah, that's all he wants. Yeah. But there's more.
Okay, I inadvertently picked up a general appearance request, as you might suspect.
So you have to stop this anti-Semitism by being truthful. And he's walking out.
We have 2 more speakers.
Okay, listen carefully.
Jeff Guido.
God bless.
Thank you.
Revelation 3:9, synagogue of Satan.
Ooh, he says Revelation 3:9 as he walks out. Interesting. Okay. Well, maybe if we just tell the truth, we could do away with all this stuff. Maybe we should promote Zionism. I don't know. If we separate all these people who disagree with one another, well, then they could all live together harmoniously in their own communities and peacefully. So maybe that's the way to go. I don't know. But let me see. There was something else I wanted to get. Oh, yeah. About a year ago, Rick Sanchez, who was a reporter for years, he was with CNN, but a couple of years ago, he migrated over to RT, which is Russia Today. Now, we used to be able to get Russia Today on our local, Dish Network or DirecTV or Roku or whatever. We used to be able to get RT. But if you recall, about 6-7 years ago, during the first Trump administration, and people were screaming Russia collusion and Russia, blah, 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 Russia bad. And so one by one, the different platforms started eliminating RT and taking RT off. And they were saying that RT is filled with Russian agents, and they were propagandists. And so we couldn't get RT anymore. So, and by the way, RT, the platform that they gave was to folks who were American journalists, but these American journalists got fired or were basically outed by their respective networks. An okay example, Ed Schultz, who I had the opportunity to meet back in the 90s when I was with Joyce. He was a very, very proud supporter of our veterans, and we were trying to get help for the Gulf War vets, the first Gulf War. The ones who had been exposed to chemicals and biologicals, experimental vaccines, et cetera, and protistigmine bromide and all the other stuff, and all the medical problems that they were suffering. And so Ed Schultz was a major supporter of Gulf War veterans, and he had a radio show up in Fargo, North Dakota. So anyway, I'm getting a little historical here, but after Fargo, North Dakota, he went on to MSNBC. He was one of the anchors. So he basically upgraded, got a better job. And then in 2003, when the United States took out Saddam, he was not in favor of us going in and attacking Iraq. And because of his opposition to that policy, they paid off his contract and they set him loose. They said, you're out of here. Here's some money. Go away. Shut up. So Ed Schultz was basically offered a platform on RT, and he took it. That doesn't mean he's a Russian agent, not by any means. But you look at some of the other hosts on RT. There's former Governor Jesse Ventura. Yeah. Wasn't he a Navy SEAL? Yeah. They gave him a platform. Is he a Russian agent? I don't think so. Then there was Chris Hedges. He was a Pulitzer Prize-winning writer for the New York Times, and he was practicing journalism until the Times decided they don't like journalism. They prefer propaganda. So they let Chris Hedges go. And RT gave them a platform. Does that mean Chris Hedges is a Russian agent? No. And then let me see who else. Oh, yeah, Larry King, rest his soul. Larry King was for years on CNN. But then CNN got a little sideways because Larry had some common sense and had this propensity for discussing the truth. They didn't like that too much, so they set Larry King free, and what do you know, he showed up on RT. So the point is, if you'd like to get a different perspective on world views and the news, I suggest you go to RT and check them out. But anyway, I wanted to give a little bit of background on Rick Sanchez, but about a year ago, he covered the following story. Listen to this. Come on, let's go.
And because I know what you're thinking. I know what you're probably thinking right now. You're thinking, oh, sure, Rick Sanchez, of course. What you're probably talking about is one of those obscure state laws, like the one they have in Alaska that says if you accidentally kill a moose, you have to eat it. That's actually a law in Alaska, by the way. There's one in Georgia that says it's illegal to sleep on a boat for more than 30 days. True. No, we're not talking about an obscure law. What we're talking about is an Israeli loyalty oath law that is becoming so common in the United States, it's now pervasive. Take a look at the map. You see the red states? See all of those red states? 26 states have enacted this loyalty oath legislation.
Okay, loyalty oath legislation have been passed by over half of the states. Okay, so what is loyalty oath legislation, pray tell?
Let me show you the other one, the navy blue ones. The blue ones you see there? That's where this law is now pending. So 26 acted on, passed, 13 pending, only 11 states, the light blue ones you see there? The baby blue or the light blue, those are the ones where you can boycott Israel and, criticize Israel if you want. Again, look, it bears repeating. There is no such law keeping you from denouncing or boycotting the United States of America, or even advocating causes that harm the U.S. economically. But there are laws from doing that against Israel.
Isn't that something? So, if there are laws against boycotting Israel, I want to hear about this, what BDS is doing and how they're doing it legally. Listen to BDS, to this particular issue about boycotting.
As achieved in 2025, we work collectively to oppose war crimes committed against Palestinians and Sudanese people. BDS stands for boycott, divestment, sanctions. When we stop buying, Starbucks, sales falling by over 30% in key markets, McDonald's, global sales decline and forced intervention in its Israeli franchise, losing customers, closing locations, cutting staff. When consumption stops, pressure begins. When the money leaves, Americana Group profits falling by nearly 40% under heavy pressure. Investment funds pulling out, Spain halting steel exports, Colombia suspending coal sales, and the world's largest sovereign wealth fund withdrawing investments from companies linked to the occupation. When capital is withdrawn, the system feels it. When states act, Turkey cuts trade with Israel. The result, Shaul Gueta Company, an Israeli metals firm, declared bankrupt. Contracts canceled, exports blocked, ports left inactive, infrastructure shutting down. They invest heavily in silencing this information because acknowledging these victories would mean admitting that pressure works. Don't let them convince you that you have no power because every cent you choose not to spend hurts them. Use our app today and say no thanks. To your money become blood money.
Okay, well, I'm not advocating that you do this. I'm not advocating that you break the law. If you live in one of those states where you're not allowed to boycott a particular group, well, then you shouldn't do that. I would not be here to tell you I'm not advocating for lawlessness, not in any way, shape, or form. I just want to make that perfectly clear so we don't have anything to be confused about. Let me see. What else do we have here? Let me see. Where is it? Oh, yeah. In Germany, people who were out there that are demonstrating, there is a sentence that you cannot say. It's illegal to say something in Germany. Yeah, listen to this for a second. Let this cue up here. Oh, yeah. And the sentence, by the way, if you haven't heard it, it's called "From the River to the Sea." Okay? That's what they don't want you to say. Here's a police officer telling a demonstrator to stop saying that.
Why?
Say the river sentence, please. Don't say it.
I just say from the river, but not from the river to the sea.
You said that 2 times. Please stop it. Otherwise, we have to arrest you again.
Okay.
Please stop it.
So what shall I say?
Not this sentence.
He says, you've already said that twice. If you say it one more time, I have to arrest you. That's what he said.
No, don't say that. Don't say that. It's forbidden. The sentence is forbidden. Don't say it.
And we get arrested.
Yeah.
He says, don't say it. That sentence is forbidden.
I don't want to do it, but it's forbidden in Germany and I have to arrest you.
Yeah. Okay. Freedom of speech, right? Okie dokie. Well, they say, if you want to know who's in control, take notice of who you're not allowed to criticize.
Get More Tank will save you money every month on gas. Get More Tank is a tablet with active ingredients that adds big mileage to every tank. Made in America, the Get More Tank formula is used by trucking companies and heavy industry. Now the Get More Tank formula is available to you. Get More Tank works in any gas or diesel engine, cleans your engine, lowers emissions, and you'll feel improved engine performance every time you step on the gas. Get More Tank works for cars, trucks, boats, motorcycles, four-wheelers, mowers, and blowers. Hey, if you got an engine, then Get More Tank. Contractors, electricians, plumbers, painters, and lawn service companies, Get More Tank will save you money and extend the life of your engines. If you're an owner-operator running your big rig around the town or across the country, Get More Tank will save you money too. If you're a farmer, all of your equipment can use Get More Tank. A 5-pack on sale at GetMoreTank.com for just $22.22 plus shipping. Use the promo code RedPill101 and get 10% off. Save your money, save your engine, save the earth at GetMoreTank.com. Get More Tank is EPA registered, doesn't void warranties, results vary.
And you can get More Tank by visiting our website, and I humbly request that you do so. The website is the WTFreports.com. TheWTFReports.com. Click on the sponsors page and it'll take you down to a window where you can find out more about Get More Tank. You'll find out all the specifications and details on how and why this fuel catalyst works. No, it's not a fuel additive. It's a fuel catalyst. It makes your fuel burn more efficiently. It makes your engine run cleaner. That's good for the environment. You'll also notice you've got more power. Right off the bat, once you start using this in your first tank, within maybe 20 or 30 miles, you'll notice that when you hit your accelerator, your car goes. And not only that, but after a few tanks of gas, you start to see an improvement in your mileage. Depending upon the make, model, and year of your vehicle, you'll enjoy anywhere between 15 and 20% better mileage, which means money in your pocket. This is a no-brainer, folks. Your car runs cleaner, it runs smoother, it has more power, and you get more mileage. What else could you ask for? This stuff works. So please visit our website, The WTF Reports, click on the sponsors page, and get more tank. You'll be glad that you did. Okay, let's open up the phone lines. Why not? With all the stuff that's going on with this illegal immigration, with these problems around the country, and I got to tell you, ICE is in every single state doing their job. But there's only a couple of states where all these riots and demonstrations and screaming and hollering and shooting and all this type of stuff is going on. And for the life of me, I can't understand what motivates these people to get out there other than the fact that they've been listening to the mainstream media, which has been filling their brains with intellectual fecal matter. And you know what happens when you consume intellectual fecal matter? You end up with stuff for brains. And these people are out there protesting law enforcement, and they're protecting rapists, murderers, pedophiles, drug dealers. They're out there defending these people. This makes no sense. This is madness. Oh, man. Anyway, let me see what it was. Oh, yeah, this thing about Upscrolled. More and more people are starting to realize that TikTok and some of these other platforms, people are abandoning TikTok, Instagram, Signal's on the ropes too. We don't even have to talk about Facebook. But people are now starting to talk about Upscrolled because it is a platform designed by a Palestinian who doesn't like censorship. Listen to this.
What you see on TikTok is about to change, particularly if you're watching from America. And that's because the US version of the app is now under the control of a separate US company. That means that TikTok isn't now going away in America, but it also means that the experience you get, particularly in America, is going to change, but potentially in other countries too. The reason for that is that under this deal, the US is going to retrain its algorithm based on the data of American users. Because it's using a different data set, that will change the content that users are being fed. It may also give a bump or indeed a slump to creators because different content is effectively going to be pushed through. It may also affect users outside America because so much content comes from America, and the whole data system is being changed in the global TikTok.
Isn't that interesting? Okay, so people are starting to... Okay, stop. That's enough. Okay. Anyway, he's not the only one who's screaming about TikTok. About Upscrolled. Let me see here. Ryan Mata, he's put a whole bunch of posts out there. Okay, there's a looming government shutdown on Saturday, by the way. Let me see if I can find that other one, that others post about TikTok. Yeah, deleting TikTok. Here's this woman by the name of Dorothy Powell. She posted the following. Listen to this.
Because billionaires can control propaganda on social media platforms, they recently bought out TikTok in the U.S. to surveil you and to suppress you even more. So if I were you, I would delete the app. Here's the guide on how to do it from an amazing creator. These people have very strong opinions about a lot of things, but especially about this tiny, irrelevant country in West Asia. And so what's already occurred and what's been occurring for the past couple of months is that people with political views they don't like are being suppressed in mass, having their accounts deleted in mass. And What I will tell you about this is pretty simple. This suppression has been occurring for a very, very long time online, and it's only going to get ramped up, not only on TikTok, but also on Instagram, on YouTube, etc., etc. So the best thing that you can do is to not rely on these apps, to not share your information with these apps as much as you possibly can, and to remember that you are constantly being surveilled whether you realize it or not. Don't post stupid shit on here.
Sorry about that. I didn't know that there was a bad word in there. Anyway, yeah, so the word's getting around. There are a lot of social media personalities. Many of them are now jumping on this thing and saying, hey, folks, dump TikTok. Get rid of it. Delete it. Instagram, same deal. Get rid of it. Go to Upscrolled. So anyway, that's something that I'm going to be taking a look at. Okay, aside from that, again, the phone line is open if you want to jump in there on any of the subjects that we've covered on today's show. 215-867-8255. That's 215-867-8255. Now, yeah, this thing with the election interference, by the way, that has not gone away. As a matter of fact, in a report in January of 2020, let me see, who is this guy's name here? Lester Holt, I think it is. He's basically reporting about the 2020 elections and the fact that they were saying that, yeah, these voting machines are never, ever connected to the internet. No, that does not happen. But I remember, 2 years ago, when they were ramping up to the 2024 election, when they were having primaries. Remember, Nikki Haley was one of the people. One of the people had thrown her hat into the ring for the Republican nomination. I remember there was a report from North Carolina at the polling center. They had the local TV station there, and people were all standing outside wondering why they couldn't go in and vote. And one of the poll workers says, "Well, we have to wait because our machines have gone offline." What? They're not supposed to be online. They're supposed to be offline. Remember that? Well, here's Lester Holt. In 2020, NBC News was doing this investigation into whether or not these machines were connected to the internet with their modems. Listen to this. Oh, okay, I'm going to hold off there. Let me see. All right, I'm going to hold off on that particular clip because I've got Cynthia on the line. Cynthia, be quick. I got a clip here I was just going to get you. Unless you want to sit and wait for a second for about a minute and a half, 2 minutes.
I'll wait.
Okay, folks, this is Lester Holt from NBC News reporting in January of 2020. That's 6 years ago. Listen to this. Come on, why isn't it playing? Oh, I don't know why it's not playing. Oh, dear, let me refresh this one more time. Let's see if Lester Holt will open up his mouth and speak. Huh, it's not playing. Oh, well, okay, Cynthia, never mind. You've got the floor. What's up, girl?
Well, first of all, the first time I tried calling, it said there was no one there to answer the phone, FYI. So if someone else had tried to call, they may need to just go ahead and call back. I reviewed Just the News, this website called Just the News, and they're reporting that this man, Petty, was tackled and had a rib broken a week before this final incident by ICE, and that they tackled him when he was waving a phone in the air, and they had disarmed him, taken the gun out of his holster, and were walking away when they fired 10 shots into his body.
Mm-hmm.
I want to remind people that the sheriff says that ICE is not law enforcement. You're supposed to go through the sheriff if you're federal. You're supposed to go through the sheriff. You're supposed to approach their office and ask for assistance. And that there's nothing in the Constitution that permits the federal government to field an army of people, men with weapons, people with weapons. The colonists, they knew all about the British Empire, and they wanted no part of having a government, a federal government, that could come after them with weapons. That's why the only authorized entity to enforce the laws is the citizens' militia.
Mm-hmm.
regulated militia, and I know militias are very close to your heart, Dave.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you need to understand that they have been massively suppressed, and that the Trump people, including Kash Patel, are claiming they have the right to go in and shoot people. They do not have the right to do that. But the only way you can stand up to that constitutionally is to take a petition to your elected officials and tell them that they stand up for you, or else they resign and get out of the way because they're not defending the Constitution. And that they're treasonous if they don't stand up. You use that word treason liberally. Get them used to hearing that if they don't stand up for that Constitution, meanwhile, G.R. Mobley is believing that we may soon see the day when state legislatures are telling the senators to stop voting on all this unconstitutional stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And if they stop, they're going to recall them and put somebody in the office to represent the interests of the state. Just saying.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as much as I agree with you and all that, I mean, this is sort of like saying, okay, I dare you to cross this line. And then all of a sudden a big foot goes, okay, well, I'll double dare you to cross this line. And then that big foot goes again. I mean, where do we stand for protecting our rights?
Will you allow petitions to be put on your website for people can go on your website and pull off the petition?
The petition
and try?
For what?
Well, let's see. I know there's one already that you can use to say that we want out of the UN and out of NATO before they put on our ground. We already know that the Mexican government has had a plan afoot now for several years to take back Texas and Utah, Arizona, New Mexico, California. They're admitting it, and they're behind. They appear to be behind a lot of the riots against ICE.
Mm-hmm.
That's how his website. He quotes an author named Peter Schweitzer, I believe. So we have that risk of having foreign troops put on the ground to control us.
Yeah.
And out of those organizations, so they have no excuse at all to come in.
Well, I hate to say it, but I think we already have foreign troops on our soil. I think we've had them here for quite some time, and those numbers have only increased during the Biden administration, letting all these unvetted military-age males into our country. And I have no doubt, because they got the assistance of the HIAS, which Alejandro Mayorkas was a board member of before he became a direct secretary of the HHS. And the point is that I think we already have a lot of foreign troops on this land. So let me just ask you for a second, okay? When it comes to trying to get rid of all of the illegals that are in this country, okay, and I'm not saying that all of them are evil, but if they came in here and they're involved in any of these organizations or efforts to undermine U.S. law and sovereignty. Okay, I mean, ICE is operational in all 50 states, but there's only a couple states that are ramped up right now, having all of these riots, et cetera, et cetera. So the point is that if local governments, and now we already know that Tim Walz is corrupt as sin. All right, we all know that there are many states that entire government is corrupted. And they will not cooperate with ICE legal authority. And by the way, I had another clip here of Barack Obama in 2010 when he was president, basically saying we have to support ICE and get these illegal immigrants out of here. But because it was Barack Obama, everybody said that's cool, but now it's under Trump. Well, orange man bad, so that can't be good. The bottom line here is, what do we do? How do we get these illegals out of here? These rapists, the murderers, the pedophiles, the drug dealers. How do we get them out when you got brain dead idiots out there in the streets protecting them?
These people were bribed to come into the country, bribe them to leave the country.
Well, Trump has already offered them. He's given them a cash stipend and a free ticket out of here. What was it? $5,000 and a ticket. Here, get the hell out. Yeah, some of them took him up on that. But I mean, we're still talking. Tom Homan is only. He's saying that we've deported about 100,000 or something. I forget what the number is. Don't hold me to it. But I mean, that's just a drop in the bucket over the Biden administration. Between 15 and 20 million coming in, and we've only gotten rid of 100,000. We're in deep doo-doo here. So my question to you, Cynthia, and I'm not here to advocate for a police state, not in the least. You know me better than that. But when you've got state governments, legislatures, governors who are working against federal authorities to get these illegal criminals, I'll say it again, criminals, getting them out of here. But the brain dead protesters out there getting their information from, CNN and MSNBC and the alphabet networks, which are full of, snake snot anyway. How do we solve this problem?
First of all, you understand that the powers that be own both sides.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, most people aren't recognizing that. And that you start educating all these young Americans who are out there in the streets physically dealing with ICE, that the proper way is through peaceful petitions demanding that their local government stand up for the Constitution and assist with getting these people back to their home countries.
Yeah,
the local people have, if they're not going to stand up for America and ask that these people who came in here illegally violating our laws go home, then they be out of office.
Well, I agree. I agree, but when you've got your local government working against those people, when the local government is participating in breaking the law, I don't see any other way than than ICE agents coming in there and say, look, we're not putting up with this garbage anymore. Now, I'm not for a police state, not in the slightest. But when the state legislature is corrupted, I don't see they have any other choice.
Let me just say that having a big army of ICE agents is a good way to sneak in foreign troops.
Yeah.
They had an American confronting an ICE agent who was telling her that if she blew her whistle, she was going to be arrested. His English was barely understandable. It was such a accent. He hadn't been in this country long. He hadn't had much practice with English.
Well, they're saying that a lot of these ICE officers, when they join ICE, and there's been a record number of people who are joining, they only get 47 days of training, and then they're out on the streets with a gun. I'm not on board with that either. But the problem,
and the question is whether the Israelis are training them.
Well, we already know that. We already know the IDF has been training police officers and military personnel. That's become common knowledge over the past couple of years. But the bottom line here is when you've got your own government which is working against you, and as you know, I'm no fan of the Republicrats or the Demopublicans. I'm well versed on the record for having that stand. But I don't know how to fix this particular problem. So
it has to be grassroots with the Constitution.
Yeah,
and all those military veterans, it angers me a great deal when you explain that they were injured with vaccinations and with the Warp Speed, Operation Warp Speed. Is President Trump part of the problem too?
Well, there's a different debate on Operation Warp Speed and whether or not that was a good thing or a bad thing, and that's a big can of worms to get into at this particular time. And I'm sort of on the fence on which way I should go on that, to be honest. I know that he was, he was only dealing with the information that was given to him, so I can't blame him 100%. But when you've got the likes of Anthony Fauci and Deborah Birx, behind you, and, Fauci has a long history of doing some really nefarious, nasty, evil stuff. So, I don't know, the jury's still out on that, but it's, let me see. Was it Project Constitution or was it Paramethian Project? I don't know. I'll dig into that and I'll share that in a show in the future here. So anyway, Cynthia, we're flat out of time. Excuse me. Yep, the music's about to start, so that's going to wrap it up for today's show. And anyway, I thank you all for listening. Thank you, Cynthia. You have a good day. Anyway, here's. All right, that's going to wrap it up for the Tuesday, Taco Tuesday version of the WTF Reports, and I appreciate your listenership. And if you're enjoying the broadcast, please remember to click like, share, and subscribe. And above all else, word of mouth, share the word. Let's get some numbers happening here on this broadcast. All right, that said, I'm going to be flat out of here. I'll be back on Hump Day. That's tomorrow, yeah. So until then, God bless you all. Stay safe. Stay free. And for the love of God, God bless you all. You take it easy.
Watch the roaches take